Namaskar, happy Deepavali 2024. You know, things have changed so much from my youth and my early days to the modern times. In the early days, there was a lot of religiosity and a lot of spirituality aside from the politics and so on. People in the village ages and the rural areas, they were more spiritually oriented. You know, the politics of life, cannot really define spirituality and religion. The people will always need that empty part of them that needs um, higher influence, subtler influence, and deeper um, communication. So usually they would go to religion, spirituality, since politics can't transcend race, culture, or human frailty. I remember as a young boy in the villages, groups of people would go to call at houses. If there's a young man, if they have a friend here or there, they would go and call and tell that person, come to church, or let's go to church. Why you not, you coming? Or they would ask beforehand, you coming, why you can't come, and that person would say, well, I don't know what to bring. They would say, oh, just bring some fruits or some prasad, some cooked food, or you can make a donation and monetary donation, give some rice. That's long ago. You go to the temple and participate. People were simple in the villages. I don't know why. Maybe that's why we spend so much time in the villages when my parents had to work. Maybe it's for some reason that we had to assimilate life, this flavor in the village, and this culture there in the village in Best Road, Vreeden Hoop, and Maikoni, and so on. I think it's all in the process of learning and evolving. We had something like one Swamiji was telling me, he said, God placed you somewhere for a purpose, and I do think that people should, if you have groups, and so you should try to pull more people in that group and take them to church with you, take them to yoga, rather than commercializing the whole thing that if I take you to my church, you will become powerful, you will grow, you will exceed others, and they don't want to make you exceed others, you don't deserve it, and so on. There are others who have suffered more. There's others who've been shot by bandits, who have been terrorized by life. They deserve more. They should be given a chance more. And all these things come up these days now before they take you into the fold, before they take you into their locals and the cabins and their network and so on, as you would call it now. Long ago, it was this. People just come at your home and call, Mr. Gear, let's go. There's a jag this afternoon up the road. Let's go. Or Swami from Covanjan, they're coming from Hindu College. They're coming from Bharat Sivashram Sang. They have a camp. Let's go, bring the kids. My father would say, no, we have a lot of work to do. We can't do, come now, I'm tired. They just had a hard week or this, so on. They can't come and so on. I remember when we first moved into Best Hospital, West Coast there. No, in Best Road there. We were living in Mr. Dean's house. That's right next to Balo. Next to Bulahak. The Muslim people next door. And incidentally, those Muslims, they were very friendly family. Mr. Bulahak and his wife, his son Nazir and Kadir, the daughters, Babalu, Portuguese, what was the other one name? Nisha. We were living them. They would come over and they were friendly. They come out and help in the house, help my mother to cook, to clean things, wash. And we were innocent, children. We didn't had this sex consciousness, this idea about. We were like, just interact with them, natural laughing, talking. I mean, that song's like a different era, a different age, and that was the country here in Best Road there. There was Mr. Barlow, the bailiff, who was living next door. He had so many. His family was an extended family living in that yard next to Mr. Dean house. He had Buzak was his brother. He had um up the road he had Gamandi was his family. He also had a Sora school teacher from Wesdem Secondary School was living next door to him after him there, who had two sons, Andy and Anil. Their daughter was Ann, and Pam. They had Pam. That family migrated and went abroad. Sir there, who was teaching at Wesdem, he was very close to my father. They were good friends. They had an intellectual exchange. I remember my father and him would be chatting for hours. My mother had to go and call him. It's getting late, come for dinner and all of these things, sir. The people around about used to call him Rum, sir, because he drinks a lot of alcohol. That's when he gets ready, he drinks. He had this habit of drinking, but yet he could talk intellectual stuff, maths, English, and geography, and so on. He would give to us many books, textbooks, and so one day my father even gifted to my father a book about Satya Sai Baba, and I was reading that book. I don't believe all the things it was. I still have that book. I don't believe the things in the books like what I read. That was before Satya Sai Baba. I think Vinay Gokak or somebody like that wrote the book. I was amazed at the things I read at those early age. At that time I was just around 10, 12. But Ramsar's son, Andy and Anil, their whole family migrated, Pama and all of them. So at that time it was living in Best Road there. It was so different, we had such a different time. Now the people are completely different. They cannot communicate. There's a barrier between people, and I guess maybe it's different psychology or different mindset, but still I think that people in groups who have the power, they should, rather than commercializing the spiritual places, they should invite more people to go. Only 2 weeks ago during the Navratri program that they had going on here, I was trying to enter a temple there at Ogle, and the guys told me, I told him that I'm come to somebody here, I'm with somebody who just entered the church. He said you can't go into the mandir, you can only sit down in the compound and wait. So I said no problem, but from my early experience, I know the mandir door is always open. Anybody could walk in there and sit down. But the guy showed like he want to fight. And then eventually, the guy who I came with, who went in there before me, he said, you can go, you can leave. So I left, So that kind of business was going on there. That kind of psychology that people have, that if you get satsang, you will get power, you will get shine, you will get glow, you will get aura, ojas and tejas, good smell and good appetite and health, which is bad for the rat race and in the world. So they're very careful who they're allowing and who they're teaching and who they're training. In fact, Swami Sivananda was saying, he said in one of his books, he said that the Lord Buddha created diversion for those people who were trying to come into Sanatan Dharma to get occult powers. All those people, the powers, the occult powers, the siddhis, which you get by sincere and long-term practice. You get those powers and so on through the mantras and the practices that the teacher gave. So they said that the Buddha, he came and distracted those seekers, many of those seekers who were seeking for the powers. I created a diversion known as Buddhism to lure them away from the Vedic culture, and that has so much wealth of knowledge and so much spirituality therein, that you can't learn everything in one lifetime. You have to select sections and pieces which attract you, which you can learn, and so what the Buddha did he offer another way, another path for those who were forming such a large contingent among old Hinduism. People do not understand the old Hinduism. It's very powerful, it's very deep, it's a technology. If nature is a technology and it's so complex that we are learning every day, then Hinduism is the generating force of that technology. Because they say that Prakriti and Purusha are two faces of the same kind. And Prakriti is the power of Purush. So Prakriti means nature, it's the power of God. It's the female principle of the yin and the yang. Prakriti or nature is the female principle. The male principle is the consciousness, the mind, the spirit. So Purusha and Prakriti, yin and the yang, the male and the female energy. They say if the female gets control over the male, if Prakriti, nature, gets control over man, it's woe unto him. Woe unto man, woe man. It's woe unto him. That's the power of woman. Woe be unto man, woe man. If man, Purusha, gets control over Prakriti, he must know how to use her properly. If you say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, it can cause a lot of problem in creation, a lot of imbalance, a lot of bad tidings. So Purusha has to know how to use Prakriti or how to use nature for the welfare and benefit of all. So in this case, only the guru, I think, or advanced students in metaphysics be able to have a sway or a control over the Prakriti power. Now, there are so many false people you have to be aware of also, who are, say, they come from India or they come from Asia and they have know this and they have this knowledge and that knowledge, and they try to deceive and waylay and con people so much, but this interaction between metaphysics and science can be very aggravating sometimes, can be very disturbing and uneventful, So disciples of both schools, whether you're from Asia or the Orient or the Occident, people will have to know at what level to interact at. Beginners in the metaphysics, you don't find them so much going into the Occident. Mostly the great teachers would find a place there, or those who are knowledgeable in the intricacies of the Vedic or the Buddhists or the Tantras or the whatever it is. Only they can find places and go there. Not everybody can find a seat there like Hindus in Guyana use. Impossible for you to compete with those who come from the homeland of Hinduism, the home of Hinduism in Asia. You can't to go there to contend and compete abroad, Do some pundits make it, but it's among their own people, Guyanese people, among their own Caribbean people. Right? The authorities on yoga and spiritualities are mostly the teachers from India and so on. And some of them are fake also. They mislead people. They lead people down on the roads of unchastity, money laundering, prostitution, and they become fake teachers and false gurus. But they do some work there. They left some knowledge, but it falls short of being the perfect teacher and the perfect messenger, So always we have to put 1 plus 1 is equal 2, and my understanding is that in this sacred time of Diwali, you can do good by taking people, you can do good by taking people along with you while you go on the journey. I know, though it's very hard and disturbing to find some of the uncut and unpolished diamonds or jewels coming to lay at your feet, or coming to find a part on your body, your finger, your nose, your ears, your tongue, or wherever, to have those jewels around you and not allowing you to follow the spiritual tenets. Sometimes you want to feel it's disharmony there. It's revengeful, some kind of vendetta from the gods. And in those cases, only a great shake-up or a great power and force you have to display before you can dispel those magnetic attraction from the lesser gods to the greater gods, between the Alpha and the Omega. And it's not always a feasible case where you have disharmony, where you cannot find the perfect associates, comrades who can share and understand your intellect, Mostly you find people who can only communicate at the body level if they're not spiritual. So if you are spiritual and you have a group, you can call on your friend, tell him let's go do some yoga. It's just 3 times a week, just 2 times a week. Invite him to one of the sessions, to your church, to your Ayurvedic classes, to your Tai Chi classes, to your meditation classes. Invite people, carry them. Once it's a good group, it's a genuine group. Don't force people to come if it's untested, uncharted waters. You're taking someone down a dead end. You have to be careful with people's children and people's property, other people's property. So once it's good and it's good, you can invite others. Today there are so many fake pandits, so many bad pandits who are taking money. They are doing wrong things in their religious profession. They cannot lead the life, So if there's a way, take others with you. Help others to come to the path, to walk the path, to live the life, to enjoy life, to see life as it should be. They said as the mind go up from chakra to chakra in the higher consciousness, life is perceived differently, Life is seen differently. So let's hope and pray that a part of us will awaken, that a thirst for something better, greater, and we all have thirst in us. We want more happiness out of life, whether it's from money or from food and drink or from sleep or from our friends. We want to be loved. We want to feel something good out of life. We want so much things, and the only way I think you can start is by working on yourself, become an adhikari, a good student. So all in all, that's one of the things I'm sharing for this Diwali, that where the community spirit is so prevalent. It's not so subtle as they call it, as you would find it from the birthplace, where people light their lamps, they dress in their attire, they burn their incense, they sing their songs, they have social gatherings and exchanges because they understand each other, they know, but if you are in a community where the forces are pulling in so many angles and direction, it calls for a greater power who can bring everybody under one umbrella, And you find schools like the Isha Foundation, Sadhguru might be doing a good work, or they may not, I don't know, but it seems like he's doing a good work. Other schools like Ravi Shankar and so on, they're also helping. Apart from then we have the bigger schools like society, like Brahma Kumaris, like the Anand Marg, like, and so on. They have greater teacher, bigger teachers. So you have to know where you want to go. You have to know what you really after, whether it's happiness, relaxation, whether it's joy, whether it's revenge, whether you want to do black magic and harm somebody like Milarepa. You know, Milarepa was living so much with his family and his relatives. He went to learn black magic to even to harm some of them. So that's what human living with fellow humans is like sometimes. So eventually he found only peace by leaving the society, the community in which he was born, and he went to live in the mountains and so on. Some of his books are available. You can buy them online. The 1,000 Songs of Milarepa, the biography of Jetsong Milarepa, his teachers was Marpa, and those were all men who tried to bring light into the world. That is Diwali all about, the light. Some people talk about the light, the Jyoti from the higher planes that comes into the dark regions of hell. It descends and people feel so like they're drenched by this light, feel so much relief, relaxation and peace when you're in hell. And this light on special occasions like Diwali and Christmas and whatever religious days, people in the lower hells, they can feel those light flickers and a little brush. You can feel this light and it makes them feel happy, full and complete, wholesome, you know. They enjoy for a brief moment good appetite, good bowels, good sleep, a laugh, a laughter, a lightness of mind and spirit and body. You know, the darker regions when you pull in there, you know, like one Swami tell me, when you open the door to go into that experience, you must know how to come out back of the door. Many people are left in there, the door. You open that door and you go in, you might not always come out back. So this is it when you get in contact with the lower regions or the powers from the lower plane. They try to pull you into that play, you know. It's hard to come back to your balance, your equilibrium. So that's why they say living in society and doing spiritual practice is a very heroic thing. It's very more difficult than those people who are living in monasteries or in the forests, in the mountains. It's not always so feasible for the person living in society, you know. So again, once I'm telling you, share your light and try to help others to see the light also. Invite people. You have groups, 3, 4, 5 people. Go and call and pick your friends up, take them to the temple, to the yoga classes, to the Ayurvedic classes, to the yajinas, to the camps, the yoga camps, Hindu camps and so on. Some people say, oh, I don't want to eat meat, I can't go to a Christian camp, I'm a vegetarian, I don't want to mix with those people who are eating all kind of meat, turtle and iguana, lizard and rabbits. I want to eat my dal and my rice and my choka and my chutney and my bhaji and my sabji. You know, different people will join different groups sometime or the other. Like Ananda Murti Ji would say, the Ananda Guru, let everybody see the bright side of life. May we all be blessed, may we all be happy, may we never see the bad side of life, because there's a bad side and this is usually the dark side. You know, in the human society, there are usually elders and wise people, like in the Wallington, the Apache, the Sioux, and all these other ethnic indigenous Red Indians, American Indians. They would warn you about getting into the dark side of the forest. The Hopi Indians. There were dark regions that you can fall into, dark waters, and you have to be careful that you don't fall onto the dark side there. And the elders would see and guide people so that they stay in the light. If you go into those regions, even there might not be teachers on the earth who can help you. At that time, that might be the only answer, or suffering, eternal suffering. But if there's a great master on the planet, a Trikala Gyani, or what they call a Sadguru or a Mahapurusha, Mahagyani, he can help you. Like Gopi Krishna, you heard the story with Gopi Krishna when he raised his Kundalini on his own. Every morning he said he don't want to go to a teacher, he don't want to go to no temple. He was a young boy living with his parents. Early morning, he wake up at 3 o'clock, at the top of his head here, he used to see a lotus flower, a white lotus there at the top of his head. He invented this practice himself and was doing it. After 3 or 4 years from boyhood to adulthood, his Kundalini raised up, and you can read his book, Autobiography of Gopi Krishna, Kundalini Experience, and so on. His work have been documented in Europe and in the West. They've been microfilmed, they've been kept for future civilization for people who want to read. There are many videos with him on the net you can watch. Gopi Krishna from Kashmir, Kashmiri Pandit Gopi Krishna, where he talks his story when the Kundalini went up the wrong side, the wrong passage. You know, there are 3 psychic centers in which the Kundalini power raise up. There's the Sushumna, the Ida, the Pingala. And if it goes up the wrong one, you can get madness, experience madness. So that's why most people go under a teacher or a guide. And he said he suffered from his madness for many years. He was trying to searching all over to find a teacher who could help him to come back to his normal. But no teacher gave him answer. They can't diagnose. So people, all kind of thing they were telling him. He went to all the different teachers. And he said then somebody told him, I don't know if it was Sri Aurobindo, but he said there was a genuine great teacher alive. I think it was a tantric master. I don't know if it was Ananda Murtiji or whoever it was, but they said this teacher was realized. And the teacher told him that his Kundalini went up the wrong channel. So, but the teacher told him that he hadn't the power to reorient the Kundalini back into the right channel. So the teacher definitely could not be Ananda Murti. But according to his confession is that he couldn't find a single teacher who could tell him what was the problem or what was the issue that he was suffering so much. Only one person told him that the Kundalini went up the wrong channel. I think it went up the Ida or the Pingala, not the Susumna, and that is why he was suffering and feeling. They said no doctors can help you, nobody can help you. Only enlightened master can help you. So when you get this from the Kundalini, especially if you're in a bad environment, you don't follow the rules, you're eating meat, onions and garlic, you will start getting visions, hallucination. Kundalini will may go up the wrong channel and all these things. That's why a teacher is always necessary. People come under a teacher, someone who's walked the path before, and to help you in a natural way. So Namaskar, Happy Diwali 2024. Hope this throws some light and help us. Namaskar. Again, I will sing. This is not, all this I'm saying is not from most of it is not from my own experience, but what I've listened to, lectures I've attended with Swamiji's, from books that I've read, and I attended classes in Brazil and Paraguay. I interacted and lived with monks from India and around the world, and I'm sharing a little. And I'm still working. You know, when I was coming back to Guyana here, the African teacher, while we were coming back, he said, now you have taken the decision to leave the ashram, come out of the protection of the ashram, to come out into the world, into the terrestrial worldly forces. You will have to face the consequence and pay the price. I was very scared when I was coming back, you know, because I used to ask him that what will happen, you know. I remember old Bengali teacher Tapeshwarananda told me, he said, keep doing your practice regularly, your mind will not come down. It will always be going up. It will remain fixed, you know. As he said, you won't fall, you follow the teacher's direction, meditate twice a day, morning and afternoon. So African Swamiji told me, he said, now you're coming back in society. You're coming back in a mortal world. you will pay the consequence and have to face the consequence. Previously, I was in the protection of the ashram with the teachers, and they were protecting me with their own powers and spiritual powers, and now I'm without a teacher, I'm without a guardian, except probably in an invisible way or in subtle ways they're helping you, you know. They say yogis can take the form of many things and even come and help when you don't know. So while I'm contending with many forces around me, you know, I try to keep some of that essence that I've acquired, well, say acquired samskaras, spiritual samskaras. I'm trying to retain and contain that, but steady. Many times the attack is there, you know. It's a lot of hostile forces sometimes you face, you know, which try to capture, and they want that spirituality and want that ingrained energy within you. So sometimes, you know, I've got a little shaken and jumpy sometimes, but I know that you are never alone or helpless. The force that guides the star guides you also. So there are higher powers and forces that are watching over us and helping us. And I pray, like the Guru says, we all see the bright sides of life, and we don't have to see the negative sides, you know. You know, my teacher, he says, Ananda Murtiji, he said, if you follow what he teaches you, try as best as you could, he said, he will protect you. And like a hen protects the chicks, he will protect us like that mother protecting the children. So if you follow the rules and you do your dharma, whether it's as a doctor, a lawyer, whatever, you do it properly, God's blessing and God's protection will be there. You know, Diwali marked the time when Vishwamitra and the sages were bringing Lord Rama and his wife and brother back home to Ayodhya. This last time he went there was on an exile he had to fulfill, and in which he faced many demons and dark forces in the jungle, the Himalayas and the forests in India. They said there were many, I don't know, some people say there were tribal people living in the jungle who they were calling Rakshas and Asuras, certain types of Dravidian Indians, Dravo Indians in Sri Lanka, in the forests. When he was living there, he had to face many problems in the forest, and he had to go into Sri Lanka and bring back his wife. Even today, we find people are stealing other people's wives in this modern time. It was since then, from that ancient time, somebody steal Lord Rama's wife. There's a beautiful movie on Netflix. It's called Adi Purush. You can watch it to see what the jungle life story is like, you know. It's a totally different life from living in society. But then again, we must not disrespect those traditions. They were the people who built the foundation for a society. They were the old people who contributed and laid foundation and pillars that we can stand on today. And we are so many paces ahead and so many steps ahead, you know. So we must find an equilibrium to live with and live by. Previous to that, when Lord Rama was coming back home, he was taken by sages and the rishis to the forest many times to fight demons, who they say were demons and vicious beings that were disturbing their lives. They were trying to live in the jungle, their life in the hermitage, in their ashram, their communities. And they said these people were coming, and while they were doing their puja, they were throwing blood, throwing animals, cursing them, and trying to scare them and frighten them. So the rishis went and brought Lord Rama and his brother in, who were skilled at archeries, and they slew those demons, you know. So they to protect dharma and righteousness, as a God comes, you know. We by our own self, if we fight, and so we might get killed, we might be annihilated, we might be wounded and injured, scarred. So people form communities in which they can save themselves, and groups in which they can able to maintain their spiritual practice and that sacred life that they want to live, you know. rather than being forced, in today's society. Darkness prevail. People don't find the right companion they can live with. They have to share companionship with negative people, people who don't understand their religion, their values, and people call them mad, people call them cultish, people call them inappropriate, inadequate. So it's good that we have powerful nations and forces that are watching and seeing how us as nations, as people, are living and what progress we're making. And so, and like guardians, we are happy when they see us make progress and when we're doing something useful and positive. So they are happy when we do something positive and wholesome. That is, we should also learn our profession, our work properly, so that they can be more happy and proud of us. So there are various people who are investing in various entities on the planet, various groups and communities, and we must try to live up to their expectation as best as we could, or try to make them feel that what they're contributing and helping is for a good purpose, what they are spending their money, they're investing, that there's something is good is coming out of the country is evolving, it's growing, the people are progressing not only materially but as a human being. They're progressing, they're developing, evolving, metamorphosing into good and proper people. So I cannot help noticing, I was one day coming up on these bank there and those old rum shops where people meet and they dance and drink in the traditional way. It's kind of like fading or getting overshadowed by the modern civilization, the metropolis that is coming and descending upon us. So they now are fading away into the background. We have something brighter and more wonderful is coming. We hope everybody can benefit, despite our shortcoming, as we make progress and we make efforts that will be given and something to make our lives better for the spiritual journey, for the spiritual life. So a happy Diwali. May we see the light, and may the light lead us towards even greater fortunes and goodness. May our leaders see the light, may our teachers, may our scientists and everybody, may we ourselves see the light. Thanking you. Happy Diwali 2024.